It's a great honor to be here, and this conference gives me hope because there is so much horsepower and so much goodness that also talks about creating amazing customer experiences. Now, granted, a lot of that has been about freeing capacity so that we can actually get them to buy. And what I want to just start to share with you right now is a matter of how we start to get people to engage in their own health, getting upstream, not waiting for reactive health, but up to proactive health through performance. And right now, there's just a massive chasm between elite performers in sport and military and what we're doing for everyday population health. And it really started with a really simple premise. That was about the extent of my PowerPoint in the mid-90s, that we're really looking at age versus ability. And this is true in what ultimately became Moneyball. When you're young, you don't have a whole lot of knowledge. You gain career knowledge, you gain life knowledge. At the same time, you continue to deficit spend with your health or your performance. And in the NFL, that typical career window is 3.3 years. That is the same stress that is felt in the US military and why we also focus there. But if I overlay this to aging, quality of life, and you start to look at that health component coming down, that's the 70% of lifestyle-related daily actions that result in pre-disease and disease state that clogs our reactive medical system. And our goal throughout this entire component was how do we start to shift that continuum by looking at human capital optimization and human capital preservation and looking at how that applies to extend this sweet spot, whether you call it quality aging or whether you call it performance, you call it what ultimately it is today in sport, Moneyball, and the analytics of. This is everything that we've been talking about in this conference. And we have a really unique perspective because we solely exist to understand and upgrade lives. And that understanding is equally as critical to what we can do to upgrade. That's understanding our consumers. And we really do that by creating everyone and treating everyone as an N of one, by creating individualized game plans across mindset, nutrition, movement, and recovery that have complete context to where each individual that we support is at in their life and where they want to go. And we do that providing the finest performance systems, right? We talked a lot about today. We need human contact specialists and platforms seamlessly integrated to efficiently and ethically enhance each one of our customers' experience. And so when we look at that, we started off in sport and we went deep. If we were a country in the last Olympics, we would have placed 6th, not even a target market. Half of the first round of the NFL draft, you start to go through each one, World Cup champions and almost every accolade in sport. But that's where the military caught on and where we have nearly 100% market share in special operations for human capital optimization and preservation. But we also support 30 of the top Fortune 100 brands in their human capital. And not just at the leadership team, at population health. The community centers that we run are from cradle to grave. And you know what they all have in common? Is that performance is for everyone. And performance just equals purpose. Purpose then means that we can start to help support people along the way of where they want to go in a really efficient way. And we want to be able to do that for both the brain, most importantly for all of our clients, and the body. But we also need it not just for the professional growth, but we want it for their personal happiness and their engagement. And this is the thing, if you study, it doesn't matter whether you're a concert pianist, a neuroscientist, building a family, or ultimately leading a highly competitive tech company in an industry that does not stop. You have these 4 common ingredients. You have to have mindset, nutrition, movement, and recovery as part of your DNA. And these are not independent verticals. These are completely integrated within your DNA, and each one builds upon the rest. We have to make sure we have the right mindset from mindfulness, but also our true north and how we're going and driving those intrinsic motivators. Understanding the biochemistry of how our body works, which also drives cognition. But we also need to understand the movement or the biomechanics, and not just in the quantity of movement, not just in the steps you take, but the quality, movement quality, and how we look at movement quality, because musculoskeletal pain drives 49% of absenteeism and presenteeism in the workplace. It is a massive number in what we're trying to do in healthcare as well, yet nobody's really tried to solve for that. And recovery is the limiting factor to performance. How we sleep, how we try to regulate our autonomic nervous system, and ultimately how we get that work plus rest equals success, like Jerry talked about yesterday in our Western society, matching more with the Eastern. But here's the difference between the populations I just mentioned. When you look at professional sport and professional military operators, they have 5 to 15 support staff for every single performer. They show up and they do. Might be like a few of you with your CEO or CTO roles in your team and how they support you, but here's where the chasm comes through. The problem is that for all of us in population health, we're probably supporting 5 to 15 people, from your significant other to your family to your parents that are aging, all the way down to our kids, and I haven't even talked about your professional work life and responsibilities. That's a challenge. And you know what? How do we create what's happening at the elite levels of science, research, medicine, and performance, and actually bring it into population health? And that ultimately, even if you feel like you really have it dialed in and you're getting these elements into your life, I guarantee it's probably not extending to the population around you. So even if you're working hard, you're probably still having a marginal result. So we wanted to really look at the challenge of what are we doing to use our IP and our IT to be able to help scale and do it with great validity and great reliability that actually has proactive health as a respected field. This isn't fitness, this isn't inner training, this isn't the latest fad. This is looking at someone of where they're at today and looking at reactive healthcare that takes care of you about 2 or 3% of your lifespan and focusing on the other 97% of the time where you're not coming in with a symptom, you're coming in with, how do I do me better? And that's really where we've taken the technology and the IP, but in order to do that, we have to have a true north. And over the last 15 years, we've had the performance code. And it's roughly an always upgrading 500-page white paper on the entire landscape of proactive health through performance. It means everything that we need to do to be able to help both engage and create outcomes for all of our clients. What allows us to be able to do that, and this nomenclature is very much from the tech industry about how we design and how we implement, deliver everything that we do, and then get it in that continuous improvement loop. But what allows us to do that is we have a team of roughly 75 people completely integrated that we call our performance innovation team. That performance innovation team is across design, development, research, analytics, so we tag everything we do, and we want to make sure that we're able to do that to better serve through our 3 technology teams, and then ultimately bring it to market in a really iterative loop. So what we found, though, as we have to design for 3 different constituents. It's not just the consumer, it's not just the specialist, and it's not just the operator. You have to get all 3. And what consumers want is they're wearing wearables now, but they're starting to get to a point where they're asking the right questions, right? Those right questions ask them, now, so what? Now what do I do? How do I sleep better? Well, how do I eat better? What am I doing to move or to improve the quality of my movement? We need to get to that proactive prescription so that people can get upstream of this proactive health. But we can't just say, hey, here's what you should do. We need to provide and empower the practitioners as well. And really what we want to start to do is how do we take these practitioners in all different fields and give them an operating system to be able to help upgrade more lives? And as an example, I was just with a great group on the breakout panel around the future of performance, and you look at for the most elite people, they used to get a VO2 max, and they used to get lactate threshold, and they get individualized prescriptions, and there you have an elite cyclist. Well, today, we've taken that same IP, we've put it and embedded it into standard connected devices, taken that, meet people where they're at, because people love to do cardio, where they can go in and get a similar valid and reliable test in less than 8 minutes, to be able to do that where they then can have an understanding of VO2, their threshold, and get a personalized prescription equally as good as that elite level cyclist, and they can do it every time it monitors you. 80% more engaging, 80% quicker to outcome, and that's the type of thing that we talk about. It's how we can start to change that proactive health and make it and democratize it for all. But we also need to talk about facilitating conducive environments. So we want to make sure that we remove friction everywhere we can, whether that's that first thought to the last thought that they have for their perfect day, and how does that express itself in the workplace or throughout their household. And as we start to design and deliver these facilities, we now, again, whether it's what they're doing in the cafes or what they're doing in the training, It all now is a personalized game plan that they can activate against. But we have done this together in the power of partnerships with the leading healthcare providers, payers who understand that they're utilizing us as an employer because we're learning from all the data and the metrics and what they're trying to solve and how we collaborate together. And that is true of almost from tech all the way through, and our clients have always made us better. And the power of these partnerships is what I'm hopefully relying on in this room to be able to look at proactive health and get it on the map so we take the same rigor that we've talked about over the last 2 days and apply it to the most important thing, which is each of you, your family, your leadership team, and everybody that they support, because everybody deserves to be treated like a professional. Thank you.